2 weeks before my dad died when I was 5 years old. I think it was 2 weeks. My little kid memory remembers it as 2 weeks. It was like super close to when he died. But I remember sitting on his lap and I just got this intuitive hit. This, I didn't even know what it was, but I just knew he was going to die. And I sat on his lap and I looked at him and I said, "Are you going to die soon?" And he said, "No, I think he was 36 at the time. I'm only 36. I'm not going anywhere. I'm too young." And I remember sitting on his lap and I didn't believe him. I didn't believe him. I knew my time was coming to an end with him. I just knew it intuitively. And of course, a couple weeks later, or whatever time it was, shortly thereafter, he killed himself and died, killed himself and died. And here's what that did to me or at me or with me, for me, whatever, um, to my intuition. It made that act as a little girl, and even as an adult, I still work this out. It made me think that every thought I had um, was an intuitive hit. So what I mean by this is I want to talk about the difference between, I'm turning off my email, the difference between intuition and fear. People get these things mixed up all the time because here's a perfect example, right? When I asked my dad that, it was fully coming from intuition. Of course, there's innate fear. Didn't want him to die, but intuitively I knew it was coming. But because I predicted it and it was such an intense outcome, I'm going to keep saying made me, even though, I'm not a victim to this, but I was so young. This is the programming that happened because of this, right? That I thought I had to be really careful with my thoughts, and my intuition turned to fear and worry. And I had a really hard time distinguishing between the two because I had such a powerful prediction that it was like, shoot, oh my God. So everything I would worry about was like thinking it was going to become true. And it really, really messed with my intuitive ways. And so when I did a lot of work and got really, really clear and at peace around my dad's death, it was interesting because it opened up my intuitive center. It opened up, it was like clogged, like a clogged drain. It was clogged with fear. So I couldn't really get an authentic intuitive channel going. But when I did the healing work, the channel became very clear. Now I'm very intuitive. Naturally, it is one of my superpowers. And because I've allowed myself to, one, open the channel, and two, really distinguish between fear and intuition. I've also known people who have had dreams, like dreams, and they've come true. Very few people. That's very rare in my experience. That can do a number on them too, because it's like, oh my God, if I dreamt that once and it came true, every dream they have that is predictive, they're afraid it's going to come true. And usually they don't, right? It's very, very rare in my experience. So I wanted to do a video today on like really, how do you distinguish between fear, what is fear-driven thought, and actual true intuition. Intuition is a knowing. It's like your soul is talking to you. It is a deep knowing. Now, something that you may know, like with my dad dying, has a fear, there's fear mixed into that because you don't want it to do that. And I'm going to say this too, because this is, again, my experience. I do not believe we have the ability to tell the future. I think I was tuning into something my dad was going through. I was tuned into him, not the future. Right? As a 5-year-old, I knew he was going to die. I didn't know he was going to commit suicide. I probably didn't even know what that was when I was 5 years old. But I was tuned into him enough that I knew something was up. Like I was tuned into his higher self enough to know that that was coming. But am I able to predict the future? No. I don't really believe many people can. I think we can see paths to the future. Like when I do intuitive readings, I see possibilities to the future. However, there are many futures available to us. And your guides and God can set those things up for you, but it's up to us to create it. You can tell me, like, one of my futures may be like, you're going to go teach in Africa one day. Awesome. But I have to create that. I have to get there. I have to learn how to teach and all the things, right? So there's all these openings, but I don't truly believe that we can see pathways, but we don't, the ability to predict the future. There's too many timelines. There's too many options. There's too many variables, but there are multiple possibilities. So back to, how can you tell the difference between fear and intuition? Intuition is a knowing. It is a knowing. You feel it in your, it is like your soul is speaking to you. Fear has a vibration. Fear often has worry or anxiety connected to it. It's a buzzing feeling. And fear is here. Fear is in your mind. Fear is right here. So if you catch yourself ruminating or worrying and you're wondering if it's your intuition, I guarantee you 1000% it is not. Is he going to break up with me? Is he going to break up with me? Oh my God, I have a feeling he's going to break up with me. Oh my God, he's going to break up with me. I just had this feeling. Now, you may feel that. And if it comes true, guess what? It's because you're tapped into the dynamic of the relationship, to use this as an example. When you are close to someone like your kids or your partner, and you're able to connect with their higher selves, or even people out in the world, and you go past the personality self and you're able to connect with the higher self, then we're tuned in, tapped in, and turned on in a totally different way. We're speaking soul to soul. And oftentimes you can get a lot of information through that way. And that is intuition, a knowing. It is not here. It is not run by what if, right? It is not run by fear. So people can get them very, very confused. See these lines right here? I call these my intuitive superpowers. I have had people lately tell me to get Botox there. Isn't that crazy? They're like, that you could really get some Botox in those lines. I'm like, one, that is like, one, I didn't ask. And two, why are you thinking about that? But anyway, so these lines here, I've had them since I was little. I've had them since I was a teenager, at the very least, because they are worry lines. At the end of the day, you know what they are? They're really worry lines, because I had so much going on as a kid. I would scrunch my face and be worried and tense so much of the time. So these are my worry lines. But now I call them my superpower. They're my I don't want Botox. I like them. Like, I like them there because it reminds me of the times when I was so intensely worried. And now that I can watch my face and open up this chakra, right? This is the third eye. This is the sixth chakra. And instead of scrunching, worrying, being in fear, opening up the channel and allowing what needs to come through, now you're only going to see those lines. But I was like, opening up the channel to allow what gets to come through. So now it reminds me of the difference between fear and intuition. Because when we live from an intuitive space and not from a fear-based place, things just feel better. You feel more relaxed, you feel more joyful, and at the end of the day, you're going to feel more powerful. So the next time you're wondering if you're having a prediction, or if you're in some sort of worry and you're worried that you're intuitively thinking something, really pause. It could be true. It could be that you got an intuitive hit and now you're worried about it. But oftentimes it is simply worry. It is simply fear. And allow yourself to rest, be with yourself, and like really begin to distinguish. And I'm telling you, that will bring you so much power in the knowing. And knowing that you are incredibly intuitive. When you tap in and turn that part of yourself on, it is magical. I'm going to have a free 2-day event in a couple weeks, and we're going to be talking about this. I'm going to teach you ways to activate your intuition and cultivate it even more, so that you can feel more powerful in this interesting world that we're in right now. All right. My name is Beth Osmer, and I will see you on the next video.